In the grim darkness of the far future, where hope is but a fleeting whisper and war is the only constant, there exists a figure so steeped in horror and tragedy that even the stars seem to recoil from his name. He is Lucius the Eternal, the undying champion of Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess, pleasure, and perfection. Once a noble son of the Emperor's children, a space marine of unmatched skill and discipline, Lucius has become a grotesque monument to pride, betrayal, and damnation. His story is a tapestry woven with ambition, obsession, and the unrelenting pursuit of glory. A tale that spans the betrayal of the Horus Heresy and stretches across 10,000 years of unending war. Lucius was born on Chemos, a world as cruel as it was dying. Once a thriving hub of industry, Chemos had been bled dry by centuries of exploitation. Its skies were choked with acrid smog, its rivers reduced to sluggish streams of toxic sludge, and its people clung to survival through ruthless pragmatism. Every scrap of food, every drop of water, every breath of barely breathable air was rationed with mechanical precision. Mercy was a luxury no one could afford, and kindness was a forgotten dream. Chemos was a crucible, and it shaped Lucius into a creature of unrelenting hunger. Not for sustenance, but for something far more elusive: recognition. As a child, Lucius was different. While other youths scavenged or toiled in the shadow of Chemos's crumbling manufactorums, Lucius practiced with a stick, imagining it a blade. He would spend hours perfecting his movements, his small frame darting through the ash-strewn streets, striking at imaginary foes. His peers mocked him, calling him a dreamer, but Lucius saw their taunts as fuel. He craved their awe, their fear, their acknowledgement that he was better. Love, comfort, friendship, these were meaningless to him. To be seen, to be remembered, was all that mattered. By the age of 12, Lucius had fashioned a crude sword from a shard of industrial steel, its edge honed with obsessive care. He trained relentlessly, his body bruised and bloodied from endless practice, his mind consumed by the need to master the blade. On Chemos, swordsmanship was a fading art, preserved only in ceremonial contests held to honor the planet's ancient warrior traditions. When Lucius entered one such tournament, a boy among men, he faced a champion twice his age, a grizzled warrior who had killed dozens in the dueling pits. The crowd laughed as Lucius stepped forward, his thin frame dwarfed by his opponent's bulk. The duel was over in moments. Lucius moved like a shadow, his blade a blur of precision and ferocity. The champion fell, his throat opened by a single perfect strike. The crowd's laughter turned to stunned silence, then to cheers. Lucius stood over his foe, his chest heaving, his eyes alight with triumph. He had been seen, he had been remembered. Watching from the shadows was a sergeant of the Emperor's children, a space marine of the Third Legion, sent to Chemos to recruit warriors for the Great Crusade. The sergeant saw in Lucius a spark of potential, a raw, unpolished talent that could be forged into something extraordinary. Lucius was taken from Chemos, his homeworld fading into memory as he ascended to the stars, inducted into the ranks of the Adeptus Astartes. The Emperor's children were unlike any other legion. They were the embodiment of perfection, their every action a testament to discipline, artistry, and martial prowess. Clad in resplendent purple and gold, they bore the Palatine Aquila, the Emperor's personal sigil, a mark of their unmatched honor. To be an emperor's child was to strive for the sublime in all things. whether in the elegance of a sword stroke, the harmony of a battle formation, or the purity of devotion to the Emperor's vision. Lucius thrived in this environment. The gene seed of Fulgrim, their Primarch, transformed him into a superhuman warrior, his body sculpted into a pinnacle of strength and agility. Yet it was his mind that set him apart. Where others trained to serve the Emperor and humanity, Lucius trained for himself. Every duel was a stage, every victory a performance. He became the Legion's greatest swordsman, his blade an extension of his will, his movements a dance of lethal precision. No brother could match him in the training cages, and his reputation grew with every contest. Lucius's obsession with his scars became a defining trait. While his brothers sought to erase the marks of battle through reconstructive surgery, Lucius refused. Each scar was a trophy, a testament to his survival and superiority. He wore them like medals, his face and body a canvas of jagged lines and puckered flesh. In a legion of perfectionists, this embrace of imperfection was a bold statement, a declaration that Lucius was above the need for flawless beauty, that his skill alone was enough to command respect. Yet not all admired him. Saul Tarvitz, a captain of unwavering loyalty and humility, saw something troubling in Lucius. Where Tarvitz fought for duty, Lucius fought for glory. Where Tarvitz sought camaraderie, Lucius sought dominance. Tarvitz warned others that Lucius's pride was a poison, a flaw that could undo him. But Fulgrim, the Primarch, saw only Lucius's talent. The Phoenician, as Fulgrim was called, valued excellence above all, and Lucius's unmatched skill earned him favor. Fulgrim's approval shielded Lucius from criticism, granting him prominence within the Legion. Lucius reveled in this favor, but it only deepened his hunger. No victory was enough, no accolade sufficient. He needed more duels, more scars, more moments in the spotlight. His ambition was a fire that consumed all else, leaving no room for loyalty, honor, or brotherhood. The Horus Heresy, the galaxy-shattering civil war that tore the Imperium apart, was the crucible that would define Lucius forever. When Horus, the War Master, turned against the Emperor's children were among the legions that followed him into treachery. Fulgrim, swayed by the whispers of chaos, led his sons down a path of corruption, and Lucius was swept along in the tide. The betrayal at Istvan III was a defining moment. Horus, seeking to purge his forces of loyalists, ordered a viral bombardment of the planet, intending to slaughter those who remained faithful to the Emperor. Lucius, stationed among the loyalist elements, fought alongside Saul Tarvitz and other steadfast brothers. For a time, he was a hero, his blade cutting through waves of traitor forces as he defended the loyalist stronghold. His skill was breathtaking, his courage undeniable. To those who fought beside him, Lucius seemed a paragon of the Emperor's children, a warrior who would die for the Imperium. But Lucius's loyalty was a fragile thing, rooted not in duty, but in opportunity. As the battle raged, he saw the tide turning. The loyalists were outnumbered, their cause doomed. In the chaos, Lucius's ambition whispered to him, survival lay with the traitors. Glory lay with Fulgrim and Horus. To die on Istvan III would be to fade into obscurity, a forgotten footnote in a lost war. To join the victors would be to carve his name into history. Lucius made his choice. He betrayed his brothers, slipping away from the loyalist lines to rejoin the traitor forces. He knelt before Fulgrim, pledging his blade to the cause of chaos. To justify his actions, he told himself that history would remember him as a champion, not a turncoat. He convinced himself that loyalty to a dying emperor was weakness, that true strength lay in embracing the future. The emperor's children, once a beacon of perfection, descended into madness. Fulgrim, ensnared by a demon of Slaanesh, led his legion into a spiral of depravity. The noble warriors of the Third Legion became screaming cultists, their bodies warped by mutation, their minds consumed by the pursuit of sensation. Lucius, who had once prized discipline, embraced this new path with fervor. He discovered that pain could sharpen the senses, that suffering could be a gateway to ecstasy. To fight, to bleed, to be seen in battle, whether admired, feared, or hated, was a kind of immortality. Lucius became a champion of Slaanesh in all but name. He led war bands of corrupted Astartes, their armor adorned with grotesque trophies, their weapons screaming with demonic energy. His duels were no longer tests of skill, but orgiastic spectacles of gore and agony. He carved his way through loyalist and traitor alike, his blade a conductor's baton orchestrating symphonies of slaughter. Every kill fed his hunger, every scream a note in his hymn to Slaanesh. Lucius's vanity, the fire that had driven him since childhood, would be his undoing and his rebirth. During a campaign against loyalist forces, he faced a warrior of the Raven Guard, a space marine who fought with quiet resolve. This warrior saw Lucius not as a rival to be bested, but as a tragic figure, a victim of his own pride. Their duel was brutal, a clash of opposites, Lucius's flamboyant savagery against the Raven Guard's disciplined precision. In the end, the loyalist struck Lucius down, his blade piercing the traitor's heart. As Lucius fell, his laughter echoed across the battlefield. He died believing he had won, that his name would live on in infamy. But the Raven Guard felt no pride in the kill, only sorrow for a brother lost to chaos. He turned away, thinking he had ended a blight on the galaxy. Slaanesh, however, had other plans. The Dark Prince, amused by Lucius's obsession with glory, wove a curse into his soul. Days later, the Raven Guard began to change. His body twisted, his face reshaping into Lucius's scarred visage. His soul was consumed, devoured by the essence of the man he had slain. Lucius was reborn, his laughter ringing out once more as he claimed the loyalist's body as his own. This was the beginning of Lucius's eternal curse. Anyone who slays him and takes even a flicker of pride in the act becomes his next vessel. Their soul is obliterated, their body reshaped into Lucius's ever-mutating form. Over the millennia, countless warriors, loyalist, traitor, human, Xenos, have fallen to this fate. Each death adds to Lucius's legend, each rebirth a testament to Slaanesh's cruel whims. Lucius's armor, a grotesque relic of his damnation, screams with the souls of those he has consumed. Their faces writhe across its surface, their voices a cacophony of anguish that drives him to ever greater acts of depravity. His blade, the Lash of Torment, is a demonic weapon that writhes like a living thing. It strikes inflicting agony beyond mortal endurance. Lucius himself is a walking blasphemy, his body a patchwork of scars and mutations, his beauty warped into something both alluring and horrific. Today, Lucius the Eternal roams the Eye of Terror and the battlefields of real space, a figure of awe and revulsion. He leads war bands of noise marines, their sonic weapons shrieking hymns to Slaanesh as they slaughter all who stand before them. His presence is a plague, his name a curse whispered by those who know his legend. Even his allies despise him, for Lucius is as likely to turn his blade on a friend as a foe, his loyalty bound only to his own ambition. Yet Lucius cannot be killed. To slay him is to become him, to feed the cycle of his cursed existence. He is no longer a man, but a story, a living monument to the dangers of pride, the seductive pull of chaos, and the punishment that awaits those who seek glory above all else. Every duel is a performance, every kill a step toward eternity. He seeks ever more powerful opponents, warriors whose defeat will add to his legend, whose pride will fuel his rebirth. Lucius's obsession with being remembered drives him forward like a blade through flesh. He is the eternal duelist, the undying betrayer, the champion of a god who delights in his torment. His scars are his crown, his curse his throne. He is a reflection of what happens when skill becomes obsession, when recognition becomes the only truth, when the soul is consumed by the need to be seen. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is no peace, no hope, no end to the war. And there is no end to Lucius the Eternal. He will fight, he will fall, and he will rise again, his laughter echoing through the void. For he is Lucius, the Blade of Damnation, and he will never die.